Traveled o'er the country on my merry way, been in crowds and felt I was alone. When I feel like bragging, I just up and say, I'm a native son of San Antone. Howdy, I'm Chandler O'Quinn. Welcome to Chandler's Travels. In this episode, we're in my hometown, San Antonio. We're going to be talking about Hemisfair and the Institute of Texan Cultures, which is newly reopened. So we'll be taking a look at that as well and giving you a full report. Hope you'll enjoy it, but I have a feeling you're not going to enjoy it as much as I'm enjoying this big bowl of red chili and this Shiloh's root beer right here on the River Walk. But hopefully you'll enjoy it as close as you can to actually eating this yourself. Let's see, I'm going to dig right in here. Oh yeah, that's good. That's really good. So I am here in Hemisfair Park. So what is Hemisfair? Hemisfair was this collection of pavilions and a festival to celebrate San Antonio's 250th birthday, which happened in 1968. It brought together countries from all over the world, especially the Americas, to highlight all of the different aspects of culture and shared community and commerce and everything that was. It's a World's Fair, just like what had happened in New York just a few years earlier, and Seattle. That's why our Tower of Americas resembles the Space Needle so much, is because some of the people involved in planning Seattle's World's Fair were also involved in planning this one. There is a little bit left of what was here 50 some odd years ago, but nothing compared to what it was in 1968. This was like a World's Fair. It's like Disney World. They had a monorail, they had sky buckets, they had all sorts of performances, they had and things that we still have. Many generations of people who are still around who were here over 50 years ago. But remember when they were children coming here, my own parents would have been some of those who remember some of the things here in Hemisfair and the attractions, just the huge festival and community. They had. I was talking to a good friend the other day who said he remembered coming here and Bell Systems was introducing the touch-tone phone. And so they had a race to see how much time you would save if you switched to a dial-tone phone compared to the rotary dial phones that were more common at the time. People talk about the Flying Indians. So they had a Native American group that would kind of do acrobatics all over the place. Actually, right here, they have some examples of sky buckets. I may get inside of one of those just to kind of show you what those were all about. When talking about Hemisfair, it's also important to note that this wasn't barren land. This was in the heart of downtown San Antonio. This was what was known as Germantown. It was the ethnic community. Lots of different Germans, Poles, Czechs, Alsatians, African Americans, Hispanics, all had homes here, homes that dated back to Victorian times. And thousands of people were displaced. This land was taken through eminent domain, and in the name of progress, they were taken from their homes. Those homes were destroyed. There are some of the important structures, or what they deemed were the important structures. They're still around in Hemisfair Park, but lots of people lost their homes, lots of buildings were torn down, lots of businesses had to be moved, or just closed down altogether in the name of progress, to show the world what San Antonio could offer. The Hemisphere celebration did not make as much money as they were hoping that it would, but its lasting legacy did. It made it a modern tourist attraction to come and see. They extended the river walk down here. They built the huge Tower of Americas. And then as I've probably said before, and will say many times again, in my opinion, the crowning jewel, the Institute of Texan Cultures, was the most expensive pavilion. The people who ran the Hemisphere Commission, Governor John Connolly, Henry B. Gonzalez, others were integral in getting that to be the largest, the Texas Pavilion to be the largest one here at Hemisphere, as a showcase to the world of all the different cultures that made Texas what it is. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. So this is another little section of Hemisfair Park. The building behind me is the Mexican Cultural Arts Building. There's a beautiful statue of Father Hidalgo, the founder of Mexican independence, which was given to the city of San Antonio by President Camacho in 1941. So Hemisphere opens April of 1968. Anyone who was around at that time or has studied American history of that period knows that 1968 was a pretty intense year. In fact, the whole fair opened and the Institute of Texan Cultures opened just a few days after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And at that moment, the whole world's eyes turned to San Antonio to celebrate and inform and entertain all these coming together about the culture of San Antonio, the culture of Texas. And as I've said before, the center of that was the Institute. I have had a long relationship with the Institute of Texan Cultures, mostly because of my grandfather. So my pawpaw, Bill Warmond, was a docent for the Institute for many years. In many ways, one of the major influences on what I do as a career today is based on seeing every one of his demonstrations, cowboys, pioneer medicine, German Texans. What was so great about the Institute, and I'm saying it in the past tense, it is not gone, but we'll get to what it is today. That's the whole point of this video, is that there's a new chapter of it happening right now. But I'm going to speak of it in the past tense just while I go through my personal connections, because the Institute that I grew up with is no longer there. There's a new chapter of that, which will continue its mission, I'm very hopeful of. But that mission is to represent what makes Texas so special, is that people from all over the world, it's the ultimate of the American melting pot. All of these things like Tejano music and cowboy music was all created on these cattle drives where Germans introduced Tejanos to accordions and German instruments, and so the polka music and the beat is what gets translated into conjunto music. All of these special people coming together and mixing all of their food cultures, like chili. Chili is this native dish of San Antonio, but the spices are then packaged by a German American named Gebhardt, and then it gets spread all over the world, and people can make it any way that they like, but if they make it with beans, they're wrong. All of these different things, we now had this shining building, this beautiful example of 1960s brutalist architecture to show people, ooh, it's blustery today, to show people everything that Texas is, and all of that is because of all of the different people that came and settled here and shared all of their experiences and culture together. That is a viewpoint that I've viewed all of Texas history through, is because of the Institute of Texan Cultures, because of Paw telling me all of those different programs that he used to give. And I even worked at the Institute of Texan Cultures myself as an intern before my senior year of college at A&M. So it is a place very special to my heart. And while that building, which was so important in Texas history and in the history of Hemisfair, is no more, the legacy and the mission does continue on in the form of the newly reopened institute, which I'll talk a little bit more in a minute. And then for the rest of us old fogies, we just get to have fond memories of what the institute used to be. I think I'll leave us with that for a moment, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about Hemisfair in my own life, and then in the community history of San Antonio. So behind me is a pretty important piece of Chandler history, because if it weren't for this building behind me, I might not be here. This is the building where my parents met. At one time, in the 1980s, it was the Melodrama Theater. As the story goes, my mother was an actress. She was going up the stairs towards her dressing room, and this man came and grabbed her and threw her down on his knee and said, "Do you ever think you could love a man with a scar?" And then tried to kiss her. And my mom said, "Ew, you're gross," and pushed him away, and then ran up the stairs to the dressing room. And she told the other ladies in the dressing room about it, and they said, "Oh, that's just the tuba player. Don't mind him." And I know from the way that story started, it's odd to think that would blossom into a romance of many years, but I will have you know that those two are still very happily divorced to this very day. Hits you right in the cockles, it does. But they were together long enough to have me and my sister, so for that I'm grateful to this building for making it so that I could be here. That's just another bit of Hemisfair history that I'm sure they'll commemorate with some plaque someday. So another important piece of San Antonio history is right over here, the Fairmont Hotel. Sometime in the 1980s, I'm just doing this off the top of my head, I think maybe 1986, they moved this hotel. So it was down the street and on a corner, or you had to turn a corner. And my pawpaw, he talked about that until the day he passed. how much fun it was he and his friend Chuck would go to one of these restaurants and drink beers and watch them move this huge brick structure down the street, make the corner, and then deposit it right there. So every time I see that building, I think of my pawpaw and his friend Chuck drinking beers and watching them move that building. Coming through Hemisfair Park today, I was struck by the plaques that they have from when the celebration opened in 1968. There's a large plaque on the floor that has the official logo of Hemisfair. Looks sort of like the San Antonio River, like this flowing river design on it. Next to it is sort of this whole speech of what the event meant. And it starts off in this whole thing could only happen in a time like the 1960s. I just couldn't see us having a World's Fair like that anywhere today. The words that they're using, it starts off like, since the dawn of time, man has always looked towards the horizon, wanting to make a better life for himself, and that is the story of this community. That at first the people came from Asia across the Bering Strait and came all the way down here and settled along this river, the San Antonio River, and then they were met by all these different cultures hundreds of years later, the Spanish and the Canary Islanders, and all of these different cultures that came to make this. And now in the 1960s, we are, with one hand, we are grasping towards the moon. We have all of these technologies, and we are, in a way, I think people thought that we had it all figured out. I don't know how many people think we've got it all figured out today, but I think that in the 60s, it certainly comes across with all of these authoritative voices that you encounter on documentaries, and just the way that they wrote about things. Like, you know, we've fought 2 world wars, we've crushed fascism, we're on the way to crushing communism, and we've just got a pretty good handle on things. And ironically enough, 1968 would prove that we didn't at all. But with the other hand, they are reaching back into the past to show that through all these other conflicts that we've gone through, when we got together and shared everything, we were able to make a new, distinct culture of Texas. And whatever happens in the future, that Texas culture and Texas ingenuity will get us through. So what happened? What happened to Hemisfair? Well, the event ended, and as with many World's Fairs, the rides and the different attractions were taken apart and taken to other places. Many of the buildings would remain, but would kind of just be taken away bit by bit over the next 50 years. Then in 2023, the city of San Antonio announced that the Institute of Texan Cultures building would be torn down, that it was part of a new project to make a new stadium for the San Antonio Spurs. And it's really interesting because all of those same arguments that people put up in the 1960s of all the history that you're destroying in the name of progress. And here we are 50 years later, and now I'm one of those voices saying, this is an important part of Texas history. Don't tear it down. But it did get torn down. That building, one thing that always struck me about the building was that, again, I've said it many times, a classic piece of brutalist architecture. Whether you like that or not, it's important that we save what we have of it because it was indicative of the time. That building was made of solid concrete, and one of the purposes of which was to serve as sort of an arc to hold all of the treasures of Texas culture, that this is a time where people are pretty scared of nuclear warfare. And San Antonio being such a heavily military town, there was thoughts that there'd be a nuclear strike on San Antonio. And that building was constructed with the purpose of being able to withstand a nuclear explosion and be able to keep the treasures of Texas history safe. And now that building's gone. And we'll see with the, it looks like all of the propositions have gone through to make a great new arena for the Spurs, and hopefully that brings with it all sorts of commerce and introduces people to the interior of San Antonio that wouldn't normally come here, and introduces them to the culture of this area that wouldn't normally come here because they would be on the outskirts where our other stadiums are. I have a good friend who is very excited about the new arena. I find it a little bittersweet. I think I have lots of personal opinions about, we have the Alamo Dome. We could have torn that down and kept the Institute, but we didn't. What do I say we? I don't live here anymore. But that's the way it goes. So the building no longer exists, but the spirit and the mission and the institution, if not the actual building, still goes on. And so we're going to go and take a look at what the new institute is, or this beginnings of a new institute and what that is. And then I'll come back to you with my thoughts on that. Howdy. I'm here outside of the new Institute of Texan Cultures on Houston Street. We're going to take a look inside, and I'll report back to you in a minute. So I am on my way back from visiting the new Institute of Texan Cultures. I think the one thing that I have to keep thinking to myself is it's a beginning, it's a start. That is not the completed thing. There's supposed to be a new building that will be constructed on the UTSA campus. It's a small gallery. It's continuing the mission of the Institute, but in a drastically reduced way. Just a few of the highlights of documents are there. Of artifacts are there. But pretty important ones. They have a Karankawa canoe from the early 1800s. They have a palm dress from a Japanese palm dress from the early 20th century. They have, if you love the Neon Texas sign, the Neon Texas sign is there in all of its beautiful glory. It does my heart good to know that the mission will continue. It may be reduced right now, but at one point will hopefully be back to its full glory, because what the Institute was huge. They had a whole sharecropper's cabin inside of there. They had it was a building that could encompass the artifacts of all of the different people of Texas. The bottom floor of the Frost Bank building is not big enough to encompass all of those stories, but they did a very good job of selecting important things to keep on display so that people can continue to have a relationship with these things from all of the different cultures. And that's good. I look forward to seeing what happens in the future as they hopefully grow into a bigger space on the campus of UTSA. Well, that just about wraps up this episode of Chandler's Travels. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends so that we can take even more of you along with me on my journeys. Until next time, vaya con Dios. I can really see how enjoying a Pall Mall up here, just a couple 100 feet in the air, hanging over San Antonio, that would be really nice. And you gotta know, there was thousands of cigarettes smoked in these little buckets.